Hello, and welcome to another fabulous episode of the Killer Author Club. Tonight we have the one and only Danielle Trussoni joining us to talk all about her new and ever so puzzling thriller. We have tons to talk about, so grab your cocktail, your list of questions for Danielle, and we will see you right back here.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello to all our new members and to the Killer Author Club OGs on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Wherever you are watching, we are so happy to have you here. I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And we are so excited to have Danielle Trussoni here with us tonight, talking about her upcoming The Puzzle Box. Like always, we've got tons of killer fun planned for you tonight. Speaking of fun, how about finding some in your inbox? The Killers have a monthly newsletter, only once a month, no spam, we promise. So if you'd like to be the first to know about our killer breaking news, speaking of killer breaking news, starting on October 11th, you can catch your favorite killers in audio form. That's right, we are launching the Killer Author Club podcast, which includes all your favorite elements from our live episodes, killer interviews, cocktails, and indies, and killer dogs. Plus some killer bonus content, a podcast exclusive after show where we talk about, well, pretty much anything and everything. Links to listen will be on the killerauthorclub.com website as soon as we have them. And while you're there, make sure to sign up for our newsletter so you never miss tidbits like this one and you get all the details of the podcast launch and more in your inbox. But first up, we have Killer Danielle in the house, and you know the drill. Drop your questions in the comments so we can ask as many as we can get to of our killer guest. In the meantime, Kara, would you do the honors and introduce Danielle, please?
I'd love to. Danielle Trussoni is the New York Times bestselling author of The Ancestor, Angelology, and Angelopolis, all New York Times notable books. The Puzzle Master, chosen by the Washington Post as one of their best thrillers of 2023. Her memoir, Falling Through the Earth, was selected by the New York Times as one of the top 10 books of the year. Danielle is a graduate of the Iowa Writers Workshop and winner of the Mishner Copernicus Society of America Fellowship. Her work has been translated into more than 30 languages. Congratulations, Danielle, and welcome to the Killer Author Club.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
We're so glad you're here. And we have so many questions about the puzzle box. First, can you start by giving us a little elevator pitch about the story?
Sure, and I'm going to I just got my hard copy.
Ooh, so pretty.
So I'm going to show it off. I've just I've been sitting here kind of just like holding it and clutching it. It's that feeling like after a year, it's in your head for so long and then it's suddenly there. So The Puzzle Box is a book about an ingenious puzzle constructor who is invited by the Emperor of Japan to open the world's most deadly puzzle box. So that's just one line. And he goes to Japan with a Japanese-American woman named Sakura. And the two of them embark on this journey through Japan, from Tokyo to Kyoto to Hakone to the south of Japan. And in the process, he learns a lot about, the puzzle box and its secret, but also about himself.
Wow, I love it.
Loved it.
Yeah, so good. And what a great concept for a book. So we'll talk all about it soon. And you guys drop your questions in the comments for Diane. But first, it's time to talk about this episode's special drink.
Yes, the killers. We love our killer cocktails and mocktails and tasty drinks. So every episode, we ask our killer guests to come equipped with a favorite. And the recipes for tonight's drink and all the other killer cocktails that have come before are at killerauthorclub.com under the tab Killer Cocktails. And Danielle chose the Seedlip Margarita as her special drink tonight. So, Danielle, can you tell us why?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I live in Mexico. So, margarita is just a natural choice. And during the pandemic, so I used to be someone who was studying wine, and I collected wine and I took lots of sommelier classes, and during the pandemic, I developed an intolerance to alcohol.
Oh,
It's
no.
the absolute worst moment that can happen, right? So I couldn't drink, and I was stuck in this situation where, like, I need to drink, I need a drink, I can't drink, and I discovered Seedlip, which is it's a non-alcoholic liqueur, basically. Like, they have different flavors, but it tastes like a cocktail. What I really hate is when you order a mocktail and it's like syrup.
Sweet. Yeah.
Horrible. And so I was just like, yuck. And so I did a lot of research, and I found that it's basically they make a distillation of herbs. So it feels very herbal. It feels like a liqueur. And this particular one that's in that cocktail, when you make a margarita with it, it tastes like a real margarita. So I have that every night. My husband obviously still, has a normal cocktail, and we sit out on our terrace in the evening with a cocktail, and mine is a mocktail and his isn't, but they taste very similar.
Love it.
Wow,
Love it. Well, I'm going to try it.
You should. It's good. I mean, if you don't want to, for me also, it's nice because you don't wake up with a hangover, right?
Yeah.
And if you have to write in the morning, which I write every morning, like, it's nice to wake up without a hangover.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds amazing. And cheers to you, Danielle, for another amazing read, and congratulations on the upcoming book.
Yes, cheers. All right, so the Killers and I started the Killer Author Club 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best suspense and thriller authors in the business. Our fall lineup includes superstars like Robert Dugoni, Geneva Rose, Jeffrey Deaver, and Isabella Maldonado. Patricia Cornwell, that's right, we are besties with Patricia now, and she's returning to the Killer Author Club in November. And so many more. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight we're here to talk about The Puzzle Box, Danielle's latest. In this sequel to the magnificent The Puzzle Master, Trussoni drastically increases the stakes for her protagonist, the world-famous puzzle constructor Mike Brink. A first-rate thriller, more please, so says Booklist. AJ Finn, author of The Woman in the Window, says, who should read Danielle Trussoni's latest? In a word, everyone. Danielle, obviously, you are a brilliant and wily killer, and we need to know now your answer to the killer question. Where do you kill?
Out behind the house in the shed. That's where I hide the bodies. They're all there. I don't know. I suppose in writing, I have all of my books, all of my novels have an element of historical research and like a backstory, a really like rich historical backstory. So I guess I kill when it comes to history and research.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Killer. I like that. I don't think we've got the historical killer answer yet.
Yeah, you're the first.
Yeah,
you're definitely the first.
We like that.
And we are gonna talk about the research that you've done for this story, because I have a lot of questions about that. But I feel like we need to start the first question with the puzzles. Are you a puzzler?
So I am not. I feel like writing fiction, and especially writing plotted fiction, like all of us do, is my puzzle, right? Like, that's a puzzle for me.
Right.
But I enjoy doing easy puzzles. I like Wordle and that sort of thing. In this, for these books, The Puzzle Master and The Puzzle Box, I knew I needed another level puzzle constructor. And so
these were complicated puzzles.
Complicated.
Yeah.
They're complicated, and each puzzle opens the door to a plot
Yeah.
point or to something that happens next. So the puzzles that are in the puzzle box had to be sophisticated, elegant, but also not too difficult, so that a reader would be like, I don't know what this is, and shut the book and stop reading. And so I worked with two puzzle constructors, one guy named Brendan Emmett Quigley, who is a regular constructor for the New York Times Games page, and Huawei Wang, who is a 4-time world puzzle champion. The guy is a genius, and he did a lot of the mathematical puzzles. So Brendan did the word puzzles, and Huawei did the mathematical puzzles. And I did one puzzle myself, which I'm very proud of. In the Puzzle Master, I did a word puzzle that's in that book. But other than that, I really rely on these other puzzle constructors, the professionals.
Wow.
Yeah.
The experts. And you even had them like drawn in the book. I don't know if you did that in the first one, but
yeah,
I mean, there were actual pictures.
Yeah, we have the puzzle. I have the puzzles. Let's see if I can show you. I don't know if you can. Let me get it over here. Can you see
There
that?
you go. Yeah.
So that's one of the word puzzles, and yeah, they're actually in there so that if you have a hard copy, you can take out your pencil and you can do the puzzle in the book, which is a lot of fun, actually. With the Puzzle Master, I had a few like that, and people, sort of wrote to me and sent pictures of the finished puzzle. And I'm like, yes, you did it. You got it.
Awesome.
But that's sort of the fun of it, right? Like the other thing, though, is that I really wanted to be sure that if you took those visuals out, the story still works, right? So it's all, for audio, for example, I have the same audio performer did both the Puzzle Master and the Puzzle Box, and we did workarounds so that we made sure that he could just narrate it rather than it being a visual element. So yeah, I mean, it was a little tricky getting those puzzles into the books, but I feel like it gives it that little extra something.
Yeah.
Sure.
What did your editor say when you were like, oh, I have an idea. Let's put the real puzzles in the book? Was she like, I hate you or I love you?
Well, so this is the first time I worked with this editor. This is the interesting thing. And I'll tell you a little secret that many people don't know, is that when I went out with the Puzzle Master, which I think I have a copy around here somewhere that I'll show you. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't. But when I went out with it, I sent the manuscript out without my name on it. And the author's name was in a crossword puzzle at the end.
So smart.
Yeah. And all of the clues were in the book. So you had to read the book to get the clues to figure out who the author was. And I heard later that at Random House, they ended up preempting and buying 2 books, but part of like the team, everyone was around the puzzle, adding pieces together to put it together. And they really enjoyed it. So I think that the visual elements of the puzzles and actually the gaming, the lightheartedness of that element of the book was something that my editor really enjoys and still enjoys. Like with this book, there's a tangram puzzle, which I think was a lot of fun for them to play with. And it's, I have fun with it too.
And that's just brilliant marketing too, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, really smart, really smart. Okay, your MC Mike has savant syndrome. Can you tell us what that is and how it's important to the story?
Totally. So it's really the key to the whole story, I think. So Mike Brink is the main character, as you mentioned. And when he was 17 years old, he was just a normal person, like, anyone, except for he was very good at football. He was a football star. And he was playing a really important game, and he got hit hard, and the left hemisphere of his brain was injured. And he developed something called savant syndrome, which is an actual disorder. It's pretty rare, but it is documented in between 50 and 75 people in the world. And it's when, after a brain injury, the brain tissue overcompensates and becomes sort of hyperplastic. And people develop a talent and an ability that they didn't have before. So one example that I always use is there was someone who was actually struck by lightning. I think Oliver Sacks writes about this person and had a brain injury. And a couple of weeks later, after, they get out of the hospital, they start feeling this urge to play music. They've never played the piano before. And they start playing around with it. And within a few months, not only was he playing the piano, he was composing concertos, he was composing music, and he became this professional pianist.
Wow.
And there are stories like this about people who have savant syndrome who do this with language as well, where they suddenly develop a facility with language that they didn't have before, and they're speaking French very quickly, or even an Asian language that was very foreign for them, like Korean. And so anyway, when I discovered this in my research, I became utterly fascinated. And I was like, here's something that a character could use to solve crimes and mysteries, and it would make a kind of almost endless engine, if you think about it that way, for this character. And it would also allow me to put in, these puzzles into a book.
And Mike, he has really mixed feelings about this condition. He knows it sets him apart, that it makes him a target for people who might have ulterior motives, let's say.
Yeah.
But so without giving anything away, can you tell us about how his condition puts him in some kind of danger?
Well, yeah. So first of all, the reason that this was attractive to me, and why he is attractive to me, is that he's damaged, right? Like, people think of this as a superpower, and people are like, oh, I'd love to be able to have a photographic memory and read a book in 5 minutes and remember every word and that sort of thing, like he can. But he's actually quite tortured. It's so much that, if you imagine it, the way I describe it in the first book is like almost like a fire hydrant of information coming in all the time that you can't shut it off. And he has something called synesthesia, where he sees colors and they correspond with sounds. And it's a lot for him. But what it also does is, so there's theories about savant syndrome and the brain, that the brain, the way that we think of learning is that we read something and we retain it, and it's this sort of passage to the brain. There's another theory that sort of people who study savant syndrome have put forth, that actually the brain is a container for information, or it's almost like a barrier or a wall. And once part of it gets knocked down, we have access to kind of universal knowledge, right? So one of the doctors, that I researched likened it to a radio, right? And you tune in the radio, and a normal brain gets a certain frequency, but you damage the brain and all the frequencies come in. And so it makes him susceptible to a whole range of psychic attacks. And, in the first book, there was a demonic attack. And, in the second book, we have this other kind of supernatural thing going on. So he's just really vulnerable emotionally, physically. And he had a doctor, I don't think it's giving too much away to say that in the beginning of the book, his doctor who was helping him cope with this is murdered. And so he's really left on his own to figure out, like, how do I deal with this?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I loved him. I thought he was great. He was a lot of fun. So let's talk about the setting, because you set this in Japan, and it's not just like the location that's so vivid, but obviously you know a lot about Japan's cultural history, like the religion, the imperial family. Can you tell us how you know so much about this country? Was this part of your research?
Well, that's my killer, that's what I'm good at, right? Is research. So there was a lot of that. But also I lived in Japan for 2 years. When I was in my 20s, I had a job teaching English in Japan, and really fell in love with the country, like just head over heels in love with it, and did a lot of exploration there into their religion and their culture. And but I've waited, it's been 20 years, and I've been waiting to find the right book for it. And it, this idea of a puzzle box holding a secret seemed to be the just that one, that perfect little device to allow me to bring in all of this cultural information that I have been carrying around with me. And also characters that I'm fascinated with, like there are two sisters who are descended from a samurai family who I've always been fascinated, or at least since I lived in Japan, with this very little known element of samurai culture, which is the women who were trained. And they tended to stay more toward home, but they could fight in the same way. And anyway, I wanted to flip that in somehow as well. So it seemed like just the right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the perfect setting. I can't even imagine this book anywhere else, right?
I don't think it could be anywhere else. Yeah. I think you're right.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, I was going to say, of all the scary possibilities I've read and learned when it comes to AI, you gave us a new one to have nightmares about. And let's not give anything away, but computers picking up where a person leaves off. Cam says at one point that AI is happening in the real world, that it's not some kind of imaginary story. How terrified should we be?
I'm terrified. I don't know. I mean, but I tend to have a really vivid imagination, as you probably have gathered from this book. I don't know. I mean, I've read a lot about it, what could happen. And, I think people are worried about, AI like writing books for us and that sort of thing. What I'm worried about is what it can do to us as a species, right? Like we're so dependent on technology. We're so dependent. Our homes are heated through technology. Our financial life is completely dependent on, a database basically that's completely controlled by technology. Everything that we do, from transportation to communication to our food chain, everything is so dependent on it that if it went just the wrong way, we would all be really vulnerable. So that's what keeps me up at night. That, and of course, I don't want AI writing my books or any of our books.
Right.
But,
in our books and training with them, yes, as they've been known to do already. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's going to keep me up at night now too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty scary.
It is scary.
Well, and going back to old school, I've heard that you write your first drafts in longhand. So without technology, tell us about that. Why did you start that way?
I think it's because I started writing when I was in high school in journals. Like I wrote a lot in journals, and so it feels like that's my most primal connection to what I'm thinking. And so when I want to write fast without double guessing what I'm doing, I get out, I have these notebooks. I have one right here, like this, these old fashioned
legal pad. Yeah.
And I have these, I have a fountain pen, and it's all pretty, basic. And I can write very fast that way. So I write the bad first draft that we all have. For me, that's in, it's written out by hand. And then when I type it into a Word document or Scrivener or whatever I do, that becomes a second draft immediately. So by the time I'm working on the computer, it's already a second draft.
Right. And there's really is something about that physical head to hand.
There's something about it for me.
Just that connection that really.
And are you writing cursive?
I'm writing. Yeah. I'll show you. This is this is something I'm writing now.
Oh wow!
It looks like that, and this
That's
is
awesome.
That's the first.
But how long does it take you to write that first draft, the longhand?
It really depends. I write pretty fast, actually, longhand. So the puzzle box, I wrote the first draft in like 3 or 4 months. But I do a lot of rewriting when I type it in. Right? It's a completely different book by the time I'm changing things. I'm basically rewriting it as I'm putting it in the computer.
Right.
And that takes a while. I wrote this book in a year, which is the fastest I've ever written a book. It usually takes me 2 years at least. So And I attribute that to the fact that I've been carrying around Japan, in my head and heart for 20 years waiting for the right book. So that, it came out really quickly. But usually the first draft is fast and really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love
as they should be, right?
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
hearing the process. And unfortunately, I think it's time to go to the next segment, but we could talk to you all night. You're so interesting. Like, thank you. Okay, so Danielle is giving away one copy of the puzzle box tonight, you guys, to US viewers only. Doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you are. We will pick a winner, but please make sure to shout out where you're from. So the question is, for a chance to win, answer this multiple choice tonight. Multiple choice question in the comments. Danielle's book, Falling Through the Earth, selected by the New York Times as one of the top 10 books of the year, falls under which category? Science fiction, romance, mystery thriller, or memoir?
Tough one.
That is a tough one. We haven't even talked about it. So you guys got to either Google it or
rewatch the show, right?
At my website, if you want.
Yeah.
It's on
You
the
can go to our website. That's a great idea.
Well, the Killers, we love our indies and we want to support them in any way we can. That's why we ask every author to tell us about their favorite bookseller. So, Danielle, you have chosen Aurora Books in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. Can you tell us why?
Sure. So I'm going to add another one as well. I live in Mexico, and the Aurora, the booksellers at Aurora Books are kind of superheroes here because we don't have English language books. And so it's a very big kind of supply chain issue getting books across the border and getting them into that store. And they're doing it. Also, they're associated with the Writers Conference here, which I'm the program director. So everyone should check that out. It's the San Miguel Writers Conference. And they supply books for that conference as well. So they're just amazing. But when I'm in the States, I'm just going to say right here that I also love Oblong Books in Rhinebeck when I'm in New York. So
snuck one in on us, but that's okay.
Sorry. I could name like 10 actually.
Yeah. We love indies.
Yeah, it's so hard to choose sometimes, but we'll drop the link to the puzzle box into the comments so you can order it along with all other of the books on your wish list.
For sure. So obviously the Killers love to read, and the Killer Author Club is the place to share the love for fabulous books. Post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, give yours. We love it when our TBR cups runneth over, which is why we want to ask Danielle, what are you currently reading?
Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen the film To Catch a Thief, the Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
I was looking through books that I could download from NetGalley, right? Because I was a New York Times reviewer, I can go on NetGalley, and I found David Dodge's novel To Catch a Thief that the movie was based on. And so I started like poking around online, and I discovered that David Dodge, who wrote this book, also lived in San Miguel de Allende and died here.
No way.
So I was like, ooh, some sort of connection here because I love the south of France, and that's one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. So I've been reading that, and it's so good. It's coming out. It's being reissued by Poison Pen Press, and there is a new introduction by Leslie Klinger, who I don't know if you know him, but he writes these amazing introductions to like Sherlock Holmes and H.P. Lovecraft and that sort of thing. But it's so good. I really recommend that. And also because you read, where is it? I'm gonna just, pay the love back. He blurbed my book. And so I have a copy of AJ Finn's latest, which I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but I'm really loving what I'm reading.
Awesome. I haven't read that one yet.
So you snuck in too again.
I know.
Yeah, you did.
Just keep going, right? But
we don't complain.
That's okay. That's okay. We like it. Oh my gosh.
So speaking of amazing reads, we have 2 new ones to add to your toppling TBR pile. First, check out The Inhabitants by Beth Castrodale. Artist Nilda Ricci inherits a shadowy Victorian that comes along with a handsome neighbor, longtime housekeeper, and a chemist whose concoctions help boost her creativity, and all's well until she starts to suspect that the house may be haunted. We also have Negative Girl by Libby Cudmore, a whiskey-soaked mystery introducing the dynamic duo of Martin Wade and Valerie Jacks, the grizzled vet and the determined newcomer, who join forces to crack a case that is deliciously noir. The Rockford Files meets VH1's Behind the Music. So Beth is giving away 3 copies and Libby 1, both to lucky US viewers. Drop a comment if you'd like to be entered for either of these or both of these. And remember to tell us where you're from. Good luck.
Yay.
And don't forget to check out the Killer's latest books.
That's right. Heather's latest, Everyone is Watching, is Big Brother meets Clue in a reality show gone terribly wrong.
And Kara's latest, The Second Mrs. Strom, is set in Paris and has the tagline, "A successful marriage is built on lies." And go ahead and pre-order the next in the series, What the Nanny Saw, out in November.
Yes, and Paris is always a good idea, and so is Kimberly's The Paris Widow, about a dream vacation gone horribly wrong. And Kimberly, you have some big news to share. Can you tell us all about what's new in your world?
Yeah, so I guess we announced this a few weeks ago, but yeah, I have sold the rights to The Paris Widow to these 2 lovely ladies, and yeah, they're amazing, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's going to be a television show, so everybody cross everything.
Yeah, congratulations.
Special visitor.
Oh, hi! Oh, yum, ice cream.
Yes, special treat.
I will
Yeah.
be right there, okay?
Festival day. We're almost finished with your mom. We are. We're almost.
Yeah. And then we'll give her right back.
We will, we promise. But you can stay and listen. So, okay, membership has its privileges. So if you're on Facebook, check out our private members-only group called the Killer Author Club, where all the killer magic is found, giveaways and all that kind of stuff. And every episode, we choose a name from the hat who are in the club to win a piece of swag, t-shirts, mugs, candles, totes, hats, all of which can be found to purchase on killerauthorclub.com. Tonight's winner is Marcia Evers Levy. Congratulations, and please send one of us killers your address, and we'll send some killer author swag your way. And folks, if you'd like to throw your hat in the ring to win some swag, all you have to do is become a member of the Facebook group. Link will be in the comments.
Yes, and Danielle, we have something very special for you, but first you have to tell us who the second very special guest here is.
So this is Conundrum. This is Conundrum. You've met Conundrum in the book, and this is the real one.
Oh, I
So
love
cool.
that.
Oh my gosh.
And she's
Adorable.
very,
Was it-
very sweet, but she needed a
Was
kiss.
Conundrum in the book the same breed? I don't remember.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, actually, so it was I wrote the first book with Conundrum as Mike Brink's pet, right, his sidekick. And then for my birthday the following year, my husband gave me a Conundrum that looks exactly like the dog in the book.
Oh, that's so
I
great.
love it.
Yeah.
That
Very
is a
sweet.
fantastic gift. And Danielle, we are so thrilled to tell you that you have survived the Killer Author Club. So we have this lovely badge for you that we'll send it to you. You can print it out and hang it on your wall with all your other accolades. But thank you so much for being with us tonight. And can you please tell our viewers and listeners where you can be found? Where can
I can be found? I'm on Instagram a lot. So it's just my name at Danielle Trussoni. You can find me on my website. I think that's the best way. Yeah, you can find me. I'm pretty much on every social media. If you just search for my name, I'll come up.
And you have a great newsletter too. I like your newsletter.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
fun.
I have a newsletter as well, which you can sign up for on my website or on Instagram. You know, it's in my link tree.
Yeah, love it. All right, guys, that does it for tonight's episode. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and make sure to mark your calendars for the one and only Robert Dugoni, who will be joining us in 2 weeks from tonight, October 8th, same time, same place, to talk about his newest Beyond Reasonable Doubt. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the socials. For all the information you need, times, upcoming schedule, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf over to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that